Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. We return for domestic league kickoff this weekend. We have the EPL, we have La Liga, and a little bit of Ligue 1 for your betting pleasure. 7 games that we're covering with a bunch of official plays. Stick around, everybody. Let's get this thing started.
Martial, Herrera, Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch! Balotelli, Aguero!
Well, as I said a moment ago, Jordan, we've got a bunch of plays coming for the listeners across 3 of the leagues. We got 2 leagues coming back next week. Of course, we'll be covering those. So go ahead and hit that like, that follow, that subscribe button wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. We'd love to get your follow on these things because, look, we're here all season, baby. We had, a good 3 weeks off between the Club World Cup and now. We didn't do a future show because we thought we needed the rest. We needed a little break because now these matches are going to be coming thick and fast, as you like to say. Jord, how has your summer been, bud? You excited to be back?
Oh, I'm real excited to be back here, Dev. Looking forward to a new season, Dev. This is season 6 for the Soccer Sharps. Believe it or not, we've already got 5 in the bag. 3 of those seasons were winners. 2 of those were losers, including the last one. So we're looking at a bounce-back year here for Season 6 of the Soccer Sharps, but I couldn't be happier about it, Dev. How was my summer? It was all right after the debacle that was the Club World Cup final. Boy, did we get that wrong. But hey, here we are with our favorite competitions, Dev, the European domestic leagues, and I couldn't be more excited about capping them again.
Hell yeah, Jordan. That's right. We haven't talked to the people since that Club World Cup final, which was a disaster. But I will say, we weren't the only ones. Everybody got slaughtered on that thing if you follow any of the betting shows around this great market of ours. But, Jordan, we kick off the EPL tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday night. Tomorrow it kicks off with one.
Yeah,
there I am. Okay. I did. That was technical difficulties. But Liverpool against Bournemouth. Liverpool, this one, massive favorites. 1.75 goals, and the total is set at 3.5. Jord, look, Liverpool, the champions. They opened this thing in Anfield with a really revamped squad. I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. And Bournemouth with a bunch of changes themselves, although they did punch above their weight last season. What do you think about this opening kickoff, which should be a lot of fun?
It should be a lot of fun, Dev. I think this is a great opener for the season here. Friday night lights at Anfield. You'll love to see it. And I think Bournemouth, as opponents for Liverpool, set up quite well here. It should be pretty end-to-end. The matches between these 2 teams in recent seasons have been pretty entertaining. So I don't see why this wouldn't be. You did mention that there is some change amongst these squads. Certainly Liverpool just splashing the cash this summer, bringing in studs from all over the world. Bournemouth losing pretty much their entire defense. So that could be a problem here going away to the champions on opening day without your, steadied backline from last season. So we probably get something similar to what we've seen between these teams in recent seasons. Now, the last 2 meetings last season, Bournemouth were blanked. Clean sheets for Liverpool in both of those. But that's kind of the thing with Bournemouth right now. We saw it throughout the entire preseason. They create tons of XG. They create big chances. They have tons of shots, but they can't get the ball in the damn net. They underperformed their XG last season. That's something they have to address, the finishing there, Dev. In those matches that I talked about where Liverpool kept clean sheets, Bournemouth did create over an expected goal in each of those and put up 33 shots across the 2 games there, 19 and 14 respectively. So I've got a couple of plays for this game here, Dev. The first
double
one.
Double
dipping. Exactly right. Double dip for opening day. The bookies, as you can see from the betting lines card here, have both teams to score yes at -143. I want something a little bit nicer than that because I do think I am backing Bournemouth to get on the score sheet here. I think what we saw from Liverpool in the Community Shield is that they're a little suspect defensively still. I think in transition they could be hurt. If Bournemouth can just bring their finishing boots here, Dev, I think they get on the score sheet and do not get blanked for a fourth straight meeting against Liverpool. So both teams to score, yes, but I got to get the juice better, Dev, so I'm going to tack on under 5.5 goals. And that's coming in at plus 110, basically just fading the fact that there will be 6 goals. I could see 3, maybe even 4, but I like the price. Bring in that 1-1, under 5.5 with both teams to score, plus 110.
Yeah, Jordan, I don't have a play on this game. I elected to stay away. I was concerned when I saw Liverpool on Sunday against Crystal Palace. I think a lot of stuff went into that game in that Community Shield because you have a team, Liverpool, with a ton of turnover, especially up top. Bringing in a talismanic player like Florian Wirtz changes the whole system, right? They didn't really play with that traditional single 10 positionally that they did. Victor Sabas in the chat says, Vamos Forest. We'll get to Forest, don't you worry. Or no, we don't have him on this show, but, good luck to him. Adam in the chat says, welcome back, gentlemen. Look, so they bring in Florian Wirtz. They bring in Hugo Ekitike. They lose Luis Diaz. They get rid of Darwin Nunez. And of course, they lose Diogo Jota, tragically, with his passing. So you have 3 really important cogs that have been in this Liverpool attack for a long time. They're all gone. You bring in these new pieces, and then you put them against a Palace team on Sunday that has been playing together this whole time. It's the exact same starting 11 that they had in the FA Cup final. And that makes me a little nervous that Liverpool might have a little bit of a sputter to start as they try to figure stuff out. Are they going to bring in Alexander Isak? That's a big question. They could use him. Anybody could, of course. I think he's one of the best strikers in the world. On the Bournemouth side of this, they have so many departures, right? Their entire back line, their entire back 4 and goalkeeper are gone. So Areola, the manager for Bournemouth, has a big job to do here to resettle this defense. So I elected to stay away from this because there's just a little too much uncertainty for me. Jordan, I worry about putting anything under here. I know it's 5.5. You got that 5.5 tacked on to your both teams to score, but boy, with that back line being all new players, could this thing get out of hand? I hope not for your sake, Jordan. Let's get a tidy little 3-1 here.
Yeah, Dev. Well, I also, wow, that could bite me. I did double dip on this one. I mentioned before that Bournemouth were able to put up quite a few shots against Liverpool in their last 2 meetings. We also saw Palace put up 14 shots against Liverpool in the Community Shield this past weekend. I'm taking Bournemouth team total over 10.5 shots, coming in at a nice plus 100 there, Dev. I love this play. That way, if they continue this behavior of creating good opportunities but not getting the ball in the net, maybe I can still cash something and break even on the game. We'll see. I do see here in the chat, Jay Mullet saying, sup, dudes, who will score for Bournemouth? Evan Nielsen is plus 275, anytime goal scorer. Well, yeah, if Bournemouth are able to get on the score sheet, he would probably be your man. Maybe Semenyo. Yeah, it's a tough one. I do like that price, though. And, of course,
it's a great
Bob
price
DeVita
to have a number 9 there to score in this game. Because I do think, like we said, Liverpool, especially transitionally, and that's how Bournemouth are going to try to attack them, is in transition. Transitionally, they had a lot of problems against Crystal Palace, so that might be something that Bournemouth can exploit here.
Indeed. And Bob DeVita in the chat, sort of going against my play here. He's saying the first half is going to have over 1.5 goals at minus 105. So we'll see. Maybe we can both cash. Still
don't mind that
possible.
one, Bob. Don't mind that one. Let's see. And then Andrew says TAA was Trent Alexander-Arnold was so good at getting Salah the ball. Frimpong is not that kind of player. Could see Salah being isolated. Well, we did see that in the Community Shield. He had one of the lowest touch totals of his career there, I think, with only like 21 or 22 touches in the match. So that's going to be something they need to address going forward. You got to get your best player of the ball in Salah. But let's move on. We spent enough time on this opening fixture. Let's move on to Saturday. And it's the early kickoff with Aston Villa hosting Newcastle United. This one sees Villa as home favorites of 1/4 goal, and the total set at a flat 3. Jord, sleepy time kickoff. We talk about it all the time. This kicks off at 4:30 a.m. for us out here on the West Coast. I'm probably not going to be watching it live, but I will be betting on it. But what do you think about this matchup, Jord, with a Villa team that just missed out on Champions League qualification last season, Newcastle, who did get Champions League, but have had an absolutely tumultuous summer in terms of transfers? I'm sure we'll get into that. But what do you think about this matchup kicking off on Saturday?
Yeah, Dev, I'm not sure about this one. As you say, I will almost certainly be asleep for this match, so I elected to stay off it, partially due to the uncertainty around Newcastle right now and the big Isak saga. Boy, is that a shit show, if I could just speak on it for a minute. Absolutely disgraceful, the current behavior from this Alexander Isak. I hate to see it, treating the club this way after they developed him into a player that people want for this kind of money now. So you hate to see it. He's been told not to set foot in the city right now, which I find hilarious. It's just a funny little aspect of it. But look, they've done some business. In fact, today they did bring in Jacob Ramsey from their opponents here, Villa. They brought in Anthony Elanga earlier in the summer, so they have some attacking options, but they don't have that spearhead, Dev. Maybe Anthony Gordon plays this one in the false 9, something like that. But yeah, I elected to stay off it due to all of that uncertainty. I think I would probably just lean the home team here. Villa, excellent at home, right? They were dominant there all last season. Played a lot of thrilling matches, so I could probably see them coming out on top here, especially if Newcastle are lacking a little cohesion without a spearhead. But I know you have a play for this, so I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, Jordan, when I looked at this initially, my gut was saying under here, under 3 goals total. We've seen these early kickoffs. It's early, it's like insanely early for us, but over in England, it's like a noon kickoff. So we've just seen those games be a little sleepy, right? It just takes a little bit for them to get going here. But then I started to dig a little bit deeper into my capping, and I saw some things that I really didn't like for an under. Number one, Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper, World Cup winning goalkeeper for Aston Villa. He's suspended for this match due to yellow cards from last season, or maybe it was a red card. Anyway, he's suspended. He's not playing. So they're starting goalkeepers out. Yes, Newcastle missing Isaac, but the way that Villa play with their high line, they like to do that offside trap high line stuff. That might be perfect for the likes of Anthony Gordon, Anthony Elanga, those really speedy guys just bombing in behind, right, on long balls. So that made me think, maybe this game's going to be end to end, which I think would play in Newcastle's favor a little bit. So hopefully Villa's a little bit smarter than that. I'm going to go with Aston Villa on the Asian handicap here, minus 1/4 goal. Could see this being a draw, but I think they're the better team at home, and the tumultuous summer that Newcastle have had. I mean, I can't open up my Twitter without seeing like 25 different things about Newcastle, players that rejected them outright. Alexander Isak, the entire saga has been insane. I think there's a lot of distraction around them. Now, that could go one of two ways, right? You can have this sort of, as Bill Simmons calls it, the Ewing theory, where you miss your best player and all of a sudden everyone comes together and says, we don't even need that guy. Like, we're better without him. Watch what we can do. And it galvanizes the team together. Or it's a distraction and it ends up being chaotic and it works against them. So I'm going to go with that option. I still like Villa here. Look, these two teams, this is another reason not to take the under. 7 straight head-to-head meetings have gone over 2.5 goals. So for whatever reason, these teams score on each other. Villa quiet in the transfer window, but I think in a good way. They're bringing back a lot of their core unit from last season that did really well. So I expect them to come out here, at least get the win here. So I'll take that 1/4 goal on the Asian handicap instead of the money line, which is better juice, plus 125. You could go that way. I'm going to elect to play it a little bit safer and just go with that minus 1/4 goal.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Dev. I really like the price on that. And I wish you luck on the play.
Thank you, sir. Bob DeVita in the chat says Villa has destroyed Newcastle at home the last few games. That's right. If you look at their head-to-heads, it is pretty back and forth, but typically we're seeing that home team win those. So let's move on to our late Saturday afternoon. It is Wolverhampton against Manchester City. This one sees Wolves as home dogs of a goal and a quarter, plus 1.25. The total is set at 2.75. Jordan, last time we saw Manchester City, they were losing to Al Hilal in the Club World Cup. I'll never get tired of saying that sentence. But Wolverhampton could be in for a bit of a relegation scrap this season. A lot of teams, a lot of punditry, picking them to go down in the bottom three, but they've been resilient. They have stayed up for several seasons, and they always play the City team tough. So what do you think about this matchup, the late game on Saturday?
Yeah, Dev, they do play the City team tough, and I'm sort of counting on that here with the play I'm going with. This is almost like a system play for me. Man City traveling to a team that's going to give a spirited performance at home and try and pack it in and keep their goal difference as intact as possible. And that's going to be Man City to win the game with under 4.5 goals tacked onto it. Classic City play, especially when they were the actual City, right? Whatever we saw last season when they had all their problems. Look, they still ended up just fine, finishing top 4. But of course, compared to what we'd usually seen from them, their treble winners, the multiple seasons in a row winning the title, it was a drop-off. But I think they look pretty good in the preseason. And of course, in the Club World Cup, they had their moments. But yeah, I think it's going to take a little time to bed in a lot of these new signings they've made. But I don't think Wolves will be able to give them too much trouble here. So I don't see this being a really exciting affair. I don't see a ton of goals, but I see probably a tidy win for City. I did consider just taking him on the spread, probably like a 2-0 City victory here. I'm not sure Wolves get on the score sheet, but yeah, I'm pretty confident that we'll get one of our standard sort of sleepy Man City games where they do enough to take the lead early and then they just possess the ball and kill you slowly. So Man City to win and under 4.5. That's coming in at minus 120.
Nice, Jordan. Yeah, I elected to stay off this. Once again, that's going to be a sentence you hear me say quite a bit in this show because, there's a lot of soccer to come, guys. Don't blow your whole bankroll on this first weekend. We want to see some data points from these teams. And none more so than these two teams. Manchester City, big turnover, right? I mean, look, we saw in the Club World Cup, they had some things, sure. But they've got all kinds of incomings now. And Pep's really trying to remake this squad now with players he's never had before. Guys playing in a back line that I'm not sure I totally trust. On the Wolves side of this, look, it's going to be a fight for him again to stay up. I really like the Jean Arias signing they got in from Fluminense. He played well in the Club World Cup, and then they brought him in. I think he'll be good for Wolves. I would lean maybe both teams to score here. That would be my play. It's minus 125, not the best juice. I think Wolves could maybe get on the score sheet just because of, like I said, the City team maybe being a little vulnerable in transition as they try to figure things out under Pep. He's had some time with them, but they did have that Club World Cup, so a little bit of a truncated offseason. And Wolves at home, so maybe they can put something up here. And Jordan, I'd worry about tacking on that under. These two teams head-to-head in their last 10 matchups, 8-2 to the over. Now, look, those numbers are probably much lower than the 4.5 that you're giving out, but just something to point out there.
Indeed, Dev, indeed.
We have Andrew in the chat. He says, cheers, Devin. He sees me drinking my California Pinot, baby. I'm swirling it around. Notes of cherry in this bad boy. What do you got there, Jordan?
I've got a Rolling Rock.
All right. Nice. Arizona's finest. Andrew also follows that up saying Wolves practically a lock to go down, in my opinion. Interesting shout. We've seen the past 3 seasons, or is it 2 seasons? 3, right? That have seen all 3 teams that got promoted go immediately back down.
Two in a row. 2 in a row.
2 in a row. So this would be the 3rd. If that were to happen. So Andrew calling his shot saying that won't happen. But let's move on because we do have games on Sunday and it's Chelsea against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace winners of the Community Shield against Chelsea. Football Club world champions. World champions Chelsea here, and they are favorites at home of a full goal -1. Total set at a flat 3. Jord, look, two big champion clubs here coming together for hardware. What do you think about this matchup on Sunday?
That's right, Dev. I mean, the bookmakers seem to think that Chelsea should take care of business in this one. They're -1 at home. No chance I'm laying that. World champions or not, this Crystal Palace team are frisky, Dev. They got a chip on their shoulder after getting kicked out of the Europa League. Look, they won the Community Shield. That's back-to-back trophies in their last two competitive games. You got to love that. So, as you say, trophy winners both in this one. So I didn't want to pick a side here. This is going to be a theme for me, I think you'll see throughout the show, but I'm going with another play that I've taken already here. Both teams to score. The pricing's the same as the last one I did it, coming in at -143 for yes. Obviously, I don't like that price, so I'm tacking on under 5.5 goals. Once again, this one not quite as good as the last one, but this one's coming in at -110. Still perfectly playable. I really wanted to bring in the 1-1 for this one because we've seen that scoreline quite a few times when these teams have met. This is technically a London derby, not that there's a massive rivalry, but they play each other tight for whatever reason. Chelsea, not great at home last season. I know they've looked better. I know a lot of people are tipping them to challenge for the title this season. That may come, but I'm certainly not going to go gung-ho right out of the gates here. I'm going to back Palace to be pretty frisky in this. So I think 1-1, maybe a 2-1 either way. Very little fear of this getting to 6 goals. Famous last words. But that's coming in at -110, Dev.
Yeah, Jordan, I think that's a really solid play. I like the both teams to score here. Palace really impressed me in that Community Shield. And as I said, the thing they have is consistency. Chelsea have a different model where they just churn, right? They just buy new players for every position until something sticks. And it's working for them. Look, they're world champions. Can't argue against it. But there's still something about them that it just rubs me the wrong way. I think they're really, really good on their day. But do they always show up? I don't know. I elected once again to stay off of this thing. But look, we've got Jay Mullet in the chat saying Colwill out and Sanchez chucking balls in the net may prohibit Chelsea clean sheets. That's right. Goalkeeper is definitely the position they have not figured out yet. So we'll see. They must have brought in somebody, right? They've got Sanchez and Kinski.
Yeah, and I think they have like 5 goalkeepers that are
right. There's so many players. How can you even know who's on the team anymore? But Levi Colwill, he mentions Levi Colwill out. Looks like probably for the season. He won't be back till late if he does come back at all with a torn ACL. So hopefully a quick recovery for him. But George, let's to our final matchup from the Premier League, and it's the best one of the weekend if you ask me. It's Manchester United against Arsenal. This one sees Man U as home dogs of a half a goal, and the total is set at 2.5. Jordan, Arsenal, they keep getting always the bridesmaid, right? Always the runners-up in this league against this Manchester United team who have been down on hard times. They're revamping their squad. Amarim's got a whole offseason with the club, training these guys. He's getting rid of the players he doesn't want anymore. It's a new look Manchester United, and an Arsenal team that, look, they've brought in the places that they needed to. Victor Gyökeres, he's the big signing of the summer, number 9 up top for them. Martin Zubamendi, I think he could end up being their most valuable signing. So what do you think about this matchup, Jordan? This is a big one, kicking off at the Theatre of Dreams on Sunday.
The Theater of Dreams, indeed, Dev, with a leaky roof and a bunch of shambles over there lately. Yeah, look, this should be a fun one. This is one I don't have a play for. I'm going to sit back and try and enjoy it and absorb some data points. I watched both of these teams a fair amount in the preseason. I have to say, in that EPL Summer Series, which I watched pretty closely because of West Ham United's involvement in it, I thought, man, you looked pretty good. They looked coherent. There was an identity. You could see what Amarim wants to do. And they were actually getting output even from the bench. Mason Mount, believe it or not, looked really good. So pretty impressed with what's coming for Manchester United, especially with all this revamped attack. Now, will that take a minute to work out, right? Getting all these guys clicking, especially Mbomo and Cunha. They both come from teams where they were the big fish in a small pond and had free roles to kind of do whatever. Now they got to share that output, work together and not be the main man. Can they work together? And then you bring in this goal monster, Sheshko. Actually, he's not a goal monster. He's just a monster. Nope. He's working on being a goal monster.
He's just a large person. He is a literal monster. Yeah.
He's a big body. Yeah. The goal monster's on the other team, right? Gyökeres with his insane goals tally. Arsenal still looked pretty good in the preseason, not as good as Manchester United, but I think the difference is Manchester United kind of played against pretty cupcake midfields in that summer series. Arsenal might have one of the best midfields in Europe with Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard. I think that's going to be a real challenge for whatever Man U throws out there. Is it going to be Ugarte and Mainu maybe? I hope Casemiro doesn't feature in this one. But yeah, enough unknown for me to sit it out. But Dev, you have a play for this one.
Yeah, look, Jordan, this is the marquee game of the weekend. I had to put something on it. And I think getting Manchester United a half a goal at home is a little too big. I think there's value on that half a goal. Now, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth a little bit here because I think Arsenal win the Premier League this year.
Whoa.
I think they do it. I think they finally get it over the line. I think they're the team that has had the most consistency. Gyökeres, I don't even think is going to put up 50 goals or whatever he did in Sporting, but I think he's going to be enough, and I think they're going to focus on this competition, and they finally get it over the line. Because if they don't, Arteta's gone, and it's a rebuild. So, with all that being said, I'm going to take Manchester United getting the half a goal here because Amorim was railing about being brought in midseason last year. He said, I don't want to be brought into a club midseason. Give me the full offseason. I need it in order to train these guys to play my way. Well, he's had that offseason now after a terrible end of their regular season. But as you said, they have some more coherence. They have an identity. They know what they're doing. They know what their roles are. I think that's going to go a long way. And I like them being dogs here, especially at home on an opening day. Arsenal are very, very good. Very, very good. They're cohesive. They know how to play together. But I think Man U at home, I'm just going to bank on them being a little bit, well, certainly improved, but also have a little bit of magic in their cap when they play in that theater of dreams and maybe be able to nick a point here, maybe win the thing outright. If they win it outright, Arsenal, it's going to be like the roof is on fire and it's going to be just complete panic alarms, which it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. I still think they can win the whole thing. And look, this is a really risky play. There's a chance that Arsenal will just come in here and smash, but their kind of smash will only be like a 2-0. So I like this sort of under here. I can absolutely see a 1-1. I think both teams score. Those are just some of the plays. But for me, it's that half a goal is just too tempting for a home team of Manchester United's previous stature. So I'm going with them.
Fair enough, Dev. Once again, I wish you luck.
Just to check in on the chat, Andrew says, how many players will Ugarte kick? Well, probably a lot because he'll miss the ball and start kicking their ankles. Jay Mullet says Liverpool is one center half injury away from not winning the title. I think they could even be healthy and not win the title. I just don't see it this year. Too much turnover and, getting rid of some of the guys that they lost. Those players were more important than they want to let on. But Jord, it's not only the Premier League kicking off this weekend. We also have La Liga, which loosely translates to take a look. So let's take a look here at Mallorca against Barcelona. This one sees Mallorca as home dogs of a goal and a quarter plus 1.25. Total is set at 2.75. Jordan, Barcelona, once again, struggling to sign players. They did bring in Marcus Rashford on loan. Got a new goalkeeper in Joan Garcia, I think is his name. And yeah, they also have their own sort of shit show of tabloid articles about their goalkeeper Ter Stegen has to fake an injury, and they're trying to make him fake the injury so that he wouldn't get paid. It's a whole thing. Don't need to get into it here, George, because we got a real kickoff. But what do you think about this matchup here with Barcelona traveling to Mallorca?
Yeah, Dev, very funny. They have all these shiny new toys, but they can't play any of them. They will not be able to feature in this game because they're not registered.
Wait, is that true? Yeah. Like Rashford can't play?
Can't play in this one. He will not feature.
Wow.
Juan Garcia as well. So yeah, classic stuff with Barca and being absolutely broke, yet continuing to buy whatever they want. Yeah, the league not happy with them as they try to push for games being played in the United States, kind of like the NFL, NBA model there. Some of the leagues into it, some of the league aren't. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. But this game, Dev, very much in Spain. In fact, it's on the island, Mallorca. And Dev, bit of a mixed bag here with what I'm about to say, but generally, Mallorca tend to be pretty frustrating for high-quality teams when they're on the island. It takes a while to break them down. They're kicking everyone, diving all over the place. It's pretty gross. It's a slog of a watch. And inevitably, the quality team does find a breakthrough eventually and wins it in a tidy walk-off. There are some outliers to that, including one of the last times these teams met when Barcelona won 5-1. However, they only scored once in the first half, so Mallorca did hold strong for a little while there. But I'm gonna back Mallorca to make this one difficult. I think there's gonna be a lot of Barcelona so dangerous when they have room to run, and they can hurt you with their pace. I think this is gonna be Mallorca camped out in their half the whole time, and Barcelona probing. I do think Barcelona probably win the game here, so I'm gonna take them to do so. But I'm going to take it in a low-scoring affair here, Dev. Barca to win and under 4.5 goals. Again, with a Barcelona team, that's always a little scary. But again, Mallorca on the island, I think they can frustrate. I think this could be 2-0, 3-0, maybe 4-0, maybe 3-1. I don't know. But I'm going to go with this. It's a bet that's cashed for me before. Opening day, they don't need to go too gung-ho here. So Barca just to win the game with under 4.5 goals coming in at minus 120, I believe. I don't have my notes in front of me. It's something like that. I'll get back to you.
Right on, Jordan. Yeah, look, you got to be on Barcelona in this one. These two teams head-to-head in their last 10 meetings, 9 wins for Barca, 1 draw. So I'm going to go with what we like to call the free hit, Jordan. I'm going to go with Barcelona minus 1. If you look at our screen right there, we have it a goal and a quarter. So you're going to have to pay a little bit of juice to get it down to the minus 1, but it's a free hit. They're going to win the game. It's Barcelona on opening day, and it's Hansi Flick in year 2. And another year, another off season with Hansi Flick at the helm. I am very high on this Barcelona team. I'm very, very bullish. I think they're going to run through La Liga and have a great Champions League run, much like they did last season. So nothing new there, but I expect them to get started fast, get started early. And Jord, once again, terrifying tacking on an under for this one.
Yeah.
We know what Hansi Flick is like.
It sure is, Dev. It sure is. And, Mallorca actually in the preseason have seen some goals in their matches, but I'm banking on them getting, battening down the hatches, getting back to basics here and not wanting to get embarrassed on opening weekend. So we'll see. One of us will be embarrassed. Maybe both of us, in fact. Mallorca?
No.
And Barca.
We're both gonna cash here, right? We got this. Well, let's move on, Jordan, because there's a third league. It is Liga in La Francois. And this one, taking a look at Racing Club de Lens against Olympique Lyonnais. And this one sees Lens as home favorites of a quarter of a goal. The total is set at 2.75. Jord, look, you're going to be on your own for a lot of Ligue 1 bets, I think, this season, because I can't bet on a league that I don't even know where to watch it. So I'll let you go ahead and take this one over. What do you got for this?
I appreciate the pronunciations there, Dev. Here I thought it was Lens versus Lyon. But look, here we go. Dev, this was kind of an easy one for me. This is basically just a data play. I think this should be an exciting one when these teams meet. It tends to be. Both teams have looked very good in preseason, having very entertaining matches, scoring goals, and often conceding them, sometimes against poor teams, sometimes against quite good teams. And, with it being the start of the season, there's not too much need to have any caginess. So I think we get what we often see between these teams, and that is an over here, Dev. I thought this would be lined at a flat 3. I was pretty happy to see the 2.75. That way, if we do only get the 3 goals here, I still make a little bit of money. Now, both teams to score, yes, is minus 175. So you might ask, why didn't I just do the both teams to score and over 2.5? Just in case, because we do sometimes see one of these teams just having a wild hair up their ass and winning this thing 4-0. And a little bit of unknown there. We saw some of that in the preseason as well for both clubs. So just don't complicate it here. I'm just taking the over 2.75 on the Asian total at minus 114, Dev.
Right on, Jordan. Yes, between these two teams, over 2.5 goals in 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings. I like where your head's at there. Well, Jordan, that's going to do it for all the games we're covering for this opening weekend. Please keep in mind there's a lot of soccer to come, so get ready. There'll be plenty of shows going forward. Go ahead and hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that follow button so you can always hear our plays and get notified every time that we got a new episode. But Jordan, it's one thing to talk about these matchups, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
That's right, Jordan. Well, the bookie is here. He wants his money, and so let's give it to him. Official plays up on the screen there. Look, I'm going light here. I've only got 3 plays for you guys. Jordan's got a lot more. It's going to be a theme for this season. If you haven't noticed, in the past seasons, we've done official plays a different way. So we could talk about this a little bit. In previous seasons, we have to agree upon the plays to give them out. We're doing it different this year. We're going to give individual plays that we haven't discussed beforehand. And I probably should have said this at the beginning of the show. So let's get to my plays here. I got Aston Villa on the Asian handicap, minus 1/4 goal against Newcastle. That's even money. And then on Sunday, we've got Manchester United against Arsenal. Man U plus 1/2 goal on the Asian handicap, minus 121. And then over in La Liga, Barcelona, -1 on the Asian handicap. You got to drop that thing down a little bit, get to the -1 so you can get minus 133, as we like to call it, a free hit. How about you, Jordan?
Yeah, Dev, also worth mentioning that while we are doing separate plays and we will be tracking them individually, they will also all be going on our spreadsheet for 1 unit each, and they will be tracked together as well so that we have a combined podcast total at the end and also individual records as well. Just a new way to do it. See if it makes us better or worse collectively. We don't know yet. We'll see. I've got Liverpool and Bournemouth, both teams to score in under 5.5 goals at plus 110. In that same game, I also took Bournemouth team total shots over 10.5. So just to have 11 or more shots there at even money. For Wolves hosting Man City, I took Man City moneyline and under 4.5 goals at minus 125. For Chelsea and Palace, once again, both teams to score and under 5.5 goals at minus 110. Like you, I think Barcelona win this match, Dev. So Barcelona moneyline and under 4.5 at minus 120. And finally, in Ligue, Lens versus Lyon, over 2.75 on the Asian total, minus 114.
Well, great, Jordan. That's going to do it for us. It's great to be back. Once again, please give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. Check us out on social media. We clip out these shows, and we'll put little clips out for you guys. If we're making you any money, leave us a review on the podcast apps. Anything helps. We really, really appreciate it, you guys. We're going big this year. We want to grow this. We want to get a lot of eyes on this pod. Also, join our Discord. That'll be the last thing I say here. Join our Discord. We can get all kinds of plays. We have some really sharp listeners, some of whom are in the chat today, giving out their plays. And it's really fun to dip in there and just see what kind of stuff these degenerates are getting into. Because if you're like us and there's a game on TV, you got to have a play on it. But Jordan, any last words for the people?
Just to say, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again, everyone who joined live, and thanks for watching this in the future if you are, or listening to it on your podcast app. We do appreciate it. Season 6 of the Soccer Sharps. It's going to be a good season, Dev. I have a good feeling. Let's hope it starts off strong here with this opening weekend. And the best part is, Dev, we have another opening weekend next weekend, just for a couple of different leagues. Huh?
It does not stop. A bunch of people in the chat saying, sorry I was late. I slammed that like button. Thank you, Catherine. Peter says, welcome back. Thank you guys for joining us. Without you, we're just talking into microphones. And until next time, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Martial.